In my restless dreams, I see that town, Silent Hill.
In the hallowed halls of horror gaming history, few titles have left as an indelible mark as Silent Hill 2. A masterpiece of psychological terror, it has ensnared the viewer in a nightmarish realm where the line between reality and madness is blurred. With chilling precision, now as whispers echo through the fog-shrouded streets once more, of the anticipation that mounts for the up-and-coming Silent Hill 2 remake. Fans are not without their worries and concerns, particularly regarding the gameplay. For many, Silent Hill 2 represents not only a pinnacle of horror storytelling, but also a benchmark for an immersive and atmospheric gameplay experience. As such, the prospect of a remake brings the excitement and the apprehension, as fans wonder whether the essence of the original gameplay will be faithfully preserved or potentially diluted in the pursuit of modernization. One of the primary concerns revolves around the balance between innovation and authenticity. While advancement in technology offer the opportunity to enhance graphics, audio, and mechanics, there's a fear that straying too far from the original formula could undermine what made Silent Hill 2 so beloved in the first place. Fans worry that the overemphasis on action-oriented gameplay, as we've seen in the trailer, could be a departure from the methodical exploration and puzzle-solving of the original, may compromise the game's unique identity and atmosphere. Another point of contention is handling of the combat and survival mechanics. Silent Hill 2's combat system was intentionally clunky and cumbersome, adding to the sense of vulnerability and helplessness that permeated the experience. However, some fans fear that modern gaming conventions may pressure developers to streamline combat for a more accessible experience, just like the Resident Evil remakes, potentially sacrificing the tension and dread that stemmed from limited resources and strategic decision-making. There's naturally a concern about the fidelity of the remake's world design and level layout. We know that in remake games that sometimes they tend to cut corners. Silent Hill 2's environments were meticulously crafted to invoke a sense of foreboding and disorientation, with each location serving as a reflection of those protagonists' psyche. Fans naturally worry that the alterations of the layouts of the aesthetic of these iconic locales could diminish the game's thematic resonance and emotional impact. Ultimately, the concerns surrounding the Silent Hill 2 remake stem from a deep reverence for the original game and a desire to see its legacy honored and preserved. And I myself wish for this to be the case. While fans eagerly anticipate the opportunity to revisit Silent Hill in all its haunting glory, there is a cautious optimism tempered by the hope that the remake will stay true to the spirit of the original, while delivering a fresh and compelling experience for both longtime fans and newcomers alike. In the enigmatic world of video game storytelling, few narratives resonate as profoundly as that of Silent Hill 2. Beyond its chilling atmosphere and the terrifying encounters, this game delves deep in the complexities of the human psyche, unraveling a tale of guilt, redemption, and the enduring struggle with inner demons. As we embark on a journey to explore the profound message of Silent Hill 2 and its characters, let us delve into the heart of darkness that beats within this haunting masterpiece once again, to recap and understand the story before we delve into the world of remakes that will be Silent Hill 2.
Mary?
James.
Forgive me.
Silent Hill, the fictional town at the heart of the Silent Hill video game series, is more than just a setting. It's a character in its own right, a malevolent force that reflects and amplifies the innermost fears and traumas of those who wander into its fog-shrouded streets. In the context of a person's emotions and trauma, Silent Hill becomes a nightmarish manifestation of their psyche, a landscape where their deepest fears and darkest secrets are laid bare for all to see. At its core, Silent Hill is a place of psychological torment, where reality bends and twists to conform to the twisted perceptions of those who enter its domain. Its streets are littered with dilapidated buildings, rusted cars, and an ever-present fog that obscures visibility and distorts sound, creating an atmosphere of perpetual unease and dread. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of Silent Hill is the ability to conjure up manifestations of a person's inner demons. These manifestations take on many forms, from grotesque monsters to surreal environments, each one of a reflection of the traumas and anxieties that haunt the individual's subconscious. For example, a person plagued by guilt might find themselves pursued by monstrous creatures that embody their sense of remorse and self-loathing. Someone struggling with grief may encounter ghostly apparitions or haunting echoes of their past, each one a painful reminder of the loss they've endured. In this way, Silent Hill serves as a canvas upon which a person's emotions and traumas are cobbled together. Each twisted alleyway and crumbling building is a mirror reflecting to the darkness within. To navigate the town is to confront one's own demons head-on, to come face to face with the parts of oneself that has been buried deep beneath the surface. Ultimately, the journey through Silent Hill is a deeply personal one, a descent into the depths of the human psyche where the lines between reality and nightmare blur, and the true nature of one's most innermost fears is laid bare. And through the road may be fraught with danger and uncertainty, it is also a path towards understanding and acceptance, a journey towards healing and redemption in the face of overwhelming darkness. Amidst all the fog in Silent Hill 2, we encounter James Sunderland, a man tormented by the specter of his deceased wife, Mary. His journey is not merely a physical one, but a psychological odyssey in the darkest recess of his soul. Through James, we are confronted with the weight of guilt and the desperate search for absolution, as he grapples with the consequences of his actions and the haunting memories that haunt him. James Sunderland's ventures into the mysterious town of Silent Hill is with a singular purpose: to find his deceased wife, Mary, after receiving a letter, seemingly from her, imploring him to come. His journey is driven by a desperate need for answers and closure regarding her sudden communication from beyond the grave, which would naturally be a haunting revelation as Mary Sunderland had passed away 3 years prior to the events of Silent Hill 2.
I got a letter. The name on the envelope said Mary. My wife's name. It's ridiculous. Couldn't possibly be true. That's what I keep telling myself. A dead person can't write a letter. Mary died of that damn disease 3 years ago.
In the shadowy realm of Silent Hill, James Sunderland's pursuit of his deceased wife, Mary, takes on an eerie and haunting quality, blurring the lines between reality and nightmare. With each step throughout the fog-drenched streets, he clings to the hope that she is somehow still alive. Her presence is palpable in every whisper of the wind and every fleeting shadow. Amidst the desolation, James encounters Angela, a tragic figure haunted by her own demons. Their encounter is a poignant moment of connection amidst chaos. Two souls adrift in a sea of despair. Angela's shattered memories and fractured psyche mirror James' own turmoil, serving as a haunting reminder of the darkness that lurks within. As when James converses with Angela, it becomes clear that he is not merely speaking to a ghost, but to a reflection of his own shattered memories and unresolved emotions. Through their exchange, he confronts the depths of his guilt and regret, grappling with the pain and loss and the desperate longing for redemption. In this moment of shared vulnerability, James and Angela find solace in each other's presence, a fleeting respite from the restless horrors that surround them. Their encounter is a testament to the power of human connection amidst the darkness, a glimmer of hope in a world consumed by despair. Yet amidst the darkness, James discovers a flicker of determination burning within him, a resolve to uncover the truth, no matter the cost. With nothing left to lose, James embarks on a perilous journey driven by a relentless pursuit of answers and emotions that he wishes to get clarity for. And in the face of unimaginable horrors, he presses onwards guided by a flickering beacon of hope, ready to confront his innermost demons and discover the secrets that lie buried within the fog.
I'm looking for someone.
Who is it?
Someone very important to me. I'd do anything if I could be with her again.
Me too. I'm looking for my mama. I mean my mother. It's been so long since I've seen her. I thought my father and brother were here, but I can't find them either.
The grotesque and haunting creatures prowling the fog-drenched streets embody the horrors of James' subconscious, representing the weight of his guilt and the sins he seeks to atone for. From the twisted, deformed figures to the monstrous abominations, each encounter is a stark reminder of the darkness that lurks within, threatening to consume him whole. Amidst the terror, there is a profound symbolism at play. The monsters of Silent Hill are not merely adversaries to be vanquished, but symbols of redemption and transformation. James Sunderland's radio sings a haunting melody, crackling with static and whispers from the other side. Its ethereal transmissions are woven with the fabric of the supernatural. They serve as a bridge between worlds, a gateway to the realm of the dead, and a harbinger of the malevolent entities that lurk in the shadows. In this desolate landscape of Silent Hill, James battles not only the town's horrors, but also the turmoil within himself. He is fighting between conflicting emotions that haunts and plagues his subconscious mind. With each step he grapples with inner demons, seeking that clarity amidst the fog of confusion and regret.
The hell is it? It's not human. Oh yeah. This thing broken?
James Sunderland's journey into the woodside apartment holds a profound significance in his quest for answers regarding his deceased wife Mary. For James, the apartment symbolizes a pivotal moment in their shared history. Symbolism abounds within the walls of Woodside apartment, its dilapidated corridors and claustrophobic rooms mirroring the labyrinth depths of James Sunderland's subconscious. Each room holds a piece of the puzzle, a fragment of his fractured psyche, waiting to be uncovered. From the suffocating confines of the narrow hallways to the oppressive silence that hangs in the air, the apartment is a reflection of James' inner turmoil, a maze of memories and regrets that he must navigate to find the truth. The anxiety of the locked doors adds another layer to the tension of the experience, as players are forced to confront their fear of the unknown and the uncertainty that lies beyond each threshold with each door they unlock. The sense of anxiety and uncertainty among players, with each door representing a potential dead end or revelation. Players must grapple with the fear of making the wrong choice and missing crucial information. The constant need to search for the right key or combination heightens tensions, amplifying the emotional stakes of the game. The experience of navigating this apartment is a shared one, with the illicit range of emotional responses from players. The frustration of encountering locked doors is balanced by the thrill of discovery, as players gradually piece together clues and unravel the mysteries hidden within each room. The uncertainty surrounding what lies behind each door keeps players engaged and invested in uncovering the truth, while the underlying themes of memory, identity, and trauma resonate on a deeper level. In Silent Hill 2, the character Eddie Dombrowski's anger serves also as a reflection of the internal conflict within James Sunderland, following the death of his wife, Mary. Whilst James initially appears to be more composed and rational of the two characters, his journey through Silent Hill reveals the depths of his own unresolved emotions, including anger and not only just guilt. At first glance, Eddie's outward displays of violence and aggression may seem worlds apart from James' seemingly calm demeanor. However, as players dwell deeper into the game's narrative, it becomes clear that both characters are grappling with their own demons, albeit in different ways. Now, when we encounter Eddie in the apartment complex, his deteriorating mental state is evident. His sickness, both physical and psychological, is a reflection of the decay and corruption that permeates Silent Hill.
What happened here anyway?
I told you, I don't know. I'm not even from this town. I just...
You too, huh? Something just brought you here, right?
James's denial regarding the death of Mary and people he hated mirrors Eddie Dombrowski's denial about his own violent actions. Both characters struggle with facing uncomfortable truths about themselves and their relationships. James initially really is in denial about Mary's death, he constructs a false reality where she is still alive, a manifestation of his guilt and ability to cope with his emotions. Similarly to Eddie, who denies his responsibility for the deaths of those he hated, and rationalizing his violent actions as justified or unrelated to his own actions. Whilst James loved Mary dearly, he also had a sense of resentment and hatred towards her, as her illness was bringing him down, dragging him away from his own life. But sadly, within this reality, he couldn't just accept and come to terms with these natural causes that would cause this despair. The death of Mary was nobody's fault, but James harbored anger towards the doctor, who tried their very best to save Mary's life for an incurable illness. With the verbal abuse that James would receive, along with having to take up the responsibility of looking after a sick person, would weigh on him heavily, blurring the lines between love and hate.
Mary's going to die? You must be joking.
I'm very sorry.
But you're a doctor. It's your job to heal people. How can you just let her die?
Please, calm down. As her doctor, I promise I'll do what I can. But there's still no effective treatment for her condition.
How long does she have?
I'm afraid I'm not sure. 3 years at most. Perhaps 6 months. It's impossible to say with certainty.
Angela's appearance in the apartment contemplating suicide while holding a knife carries a profound symbolism and serves as a pivotal moment in Silent Hill 2. As she lays before the mirror, the knife in her hand reflects not only her inner turmoil, but also James' own struggles with his guilt and despair and desire for redemption, and his own conflicting emotions to take his own life. The mirror itself acts as a metaphorical portal into the characters' psyches, reflecting their deepest fears and desires. Angela's contemplation of suicide represents the ultimate expression of her hopelessness and desire to escape the pain of her past. Similar to James's presence in the mirror suggests his own internal conflict, torn between the desire to end his suffering and the faint glimmer of hope for a chance to know that Mary could potentially be alive. When James appears in the reflection of the mirror, it symbolizes his recognition of the parallels between himself and Angela. Both characters are haunted by their past, burdened by their guilt, yet in that moment, James sees a reflection of himself in Angela's struggle, prompting him to confront his own demons and make a choice about his own fate. By grabbing the knife from Angela's hand, James symbolically rejects the path of self-destruction and suicide, at least at this point considering what the viewer's actions take later within the game. It signifies his refusal to succumb to despair, and his determination to find a way forward in the face of overwhelming darkness. Within the moments of Angela's departure through her trauma, we can see James inspect the knife and sort of kind of contemplate the very decision in which Angela was going to make. The appearance of the enigmatic little girl known as Laura serves as a catalyst for James Sunderland's journey towards self-discovery and redemption, one that is quite ambiguous within the Silent Hill community, whether she is just a depiction and a manifestation within his mind, or perhaps maybe she is real and well and truly exists, because story tells us that Laura befriended the likes of Mary a year prior to the events of Silent Hill 2, and she became attached to Mary as if she was her own mother. How Laura's parents died and why she was in hospital is never revealed. She and Mary were patients at the same unspecified hospital, and possibly was St. Germain's Hospital in Ashfield under the care of the same nurse identified as Rachel. Mary described Silent Hill as a beautiful place and showed Laura many pictures of the town during their shared time within the hospital. Of course, as those who subscribe to the theory that Laura is a manifestation often point to several key pieces of evidence. Firstly, Laura's interactions with other characters are often inconsistent and disconnected from reality, and she seems to appear in places and disappear that are convenient when James arrives, leading some to interpret her as a symbolic representation of James' inner turmoil, and also that Laura's seemingly omniscient knowledge of James's past and motivations supports the idea that she is a projection of his subconscious. with a side of the community speculating the unusualness of a young child being within Silent Hill and seemingly being unscathed or unbothered by the monsters that plague this place, and the quote-unquote mysterious letters written by Maria herself that Laura has possession of. And on the other hand, proponents of the theory that Laura is real argue that there are moments in the game where her presence cannot be easily explained away as figments of James' imagination. They point to instances where Laura interacts with objects in the environment and engages in conversations with other characters in ways that suggest she has a tangible existence. Some fans argue that Laura's role as a guide and a source of insight for James would be diminished if she was simply a manifestation, as her ability to challenge and confront him would lose its impact. And also because as she interacts with James as well as Eddie, she doesn't perceive manifestations like creatures or Maria at all. When running to Brookhaven, she doesn't acknowledge Maria yelling, "Over there." She has letters, real physical letters from Mary during their time together in the same hospital, unlike the letter to James from Mary at the start of the game, which is considered not real. She doesn't perceive the other world and instead sees an old and abandoned town, empty but otherwise harmless. But later within the brilliance of Silent Hill's story is something that I will expand on regarding the letters and fan speculation of Laura definitely being real. Ultimately, the debate over Laura's true nature reflects the ambiguity and complexity of Silent Hill 2 as a whole. The game deliberately blurs the lines between reality and hallucination, leaving room for interpretation and speculation among fans. Regardless of which side of the argument one falls on, it's clear that Laura's character adds depth and an intrigue to the narrative, inviting players to ponder the nature of guilt, redemption, and the blurred boundaries of perception. And a reminder of James's subconscious weighing heavy on him, with Laura serving as a reminder of his actions.
I was friends with Mary. We met at the hospital. It was last year.
You liar! Laura,
Fine, don't believe me.
But last year, Mary was already... I'm sorry, Laura. Anyway, let's go. We can talk about this later. This is no place for a kid. There are all sorts of strange things around here. I can't believe you haven't even gotten a scratch on you.
Why should I?
Mary? No, you're not.
Do I look like your girlfriend?
No, my late wife.
Maria's character in Silent Hill 2 embodies layers of ambiguity, reflecting James Sunderland's desires, guilt, and inner conflicts, whilst also resonating with viewers in their own struggles and temptations. For James, Maria represents a distorted fantasy, a projection of the woman he wished Mary, his deceased wife, could have been. Mary's illness left her weak and bedridden, contrasting sharply with Maria's vitality and allure. In Maria, James sees an escape from the harsh reality of Mary's suffering, longing for a version of his wife who is not plagued by sickness, but instead embodies health, beauty, and vitality. However, Maria also embodies James' darker impulses. She becomes a symbol of temptation and lust, drawing James into a spiral of desire and moral ambiguity. Despite knowing that Maria is not Mary, James finds himself irresistibly drawn to her, grappling with the feelings of guilt and shame for his desire. This complex relationship between James and Maria mirrors the struggles that the viewer may face in their own lives. Just as James is torn between his longing for an idolized version of Mary and his darker desires, viewers may find themselves grappling with conflicting emotions and temptations in their own relationships and desires. The allure of escapism and fantasy, as embodied by Maria, can be seductive, yet it often comes with consequences and moral dilemmas. In this way, Maria's character resonates with the viewers on a deeply personal level, inviting them to explore the intricacies of their own desires and struggles, while also offering a mirror through which to examine the complexities of human nature. Brookhaven Hospital serves a pivotal location in Silent Hill 2. Symbolically, Brookhaven Hospital represents James' subconscious mind, a twisted reflection of his fractured psyche. The hospital's decayed and labyrinthine corridors mirror the depths of James's character. While its eerie atmosphere heightens the sense of unease and tension for both James and the player, the nurses encountered within Brookhaven Hospital are particularly significant symbols within the game. On a surface level, they represent the physical manifestations of James's sexual desires and fervor temptations. Their provocative appearance and seductive moments reflects James' inner conflict over his desires, particularly in the context of his wife's illness. And symbolically, killing the nurses is a representation of James trying to fight that temptation and desire. For the viewer, Brookhaven Hospital and its inhabitants invoke a visceral sense of dread and unease. A place where reality is highly distorted, and we get to understand that Maria is definitely just a concept, a construct that is definitely within James's mind, as we see over time the alteration within the hospital's appearance.
You should rest.
So comfy.
The room in which Maria stays serves as a focal point within this hospital's transformation, as when we see Maria, she's initially in this room. But as James revisits the room, he discovers that Maria has vanished, leaving behind only scattered items and remnants of her presence. This disappearance is symbolic of Maria's ephemeral existence, a figment of James' imagination rather than a tangible person. Maria's changing appearance and behavior throughout the hospital underscore her status as a manifestation of James's psyche. She becomes increasingly erratic and unpredictable, mirroring James's own inner turmoil and the instability of his mental state.
Less about me, would you?
No, I
Then
just...
stay with me. Don't ever leave me alone. You're supposed to take care of me. So, what about Laura? Did you find her?
Yeah, but... she ran away.
We've got to find her.
In Silent Hill 2, Maria's death during the escape to the elevator is a gut-wrenching moment that reinforces James Sunderland's delusion of her being real, whilst also carrying significant symbolic weight. As James and Maria attempt to escape the terrifying horrors of Brookhaven Hospital, Maria is suddenly attacked and killed by Pyramid Head, leaving James devastated and alone. This pivotal moment serves as a stark reminder of James's fragile grasp on reality, despite knowing deep down that Maria is not truly Mary and is merely a manifestation of his desires and guilt. James has become deeply attached to her. Maria's death shatters this illusion, forcing James to confront the harsh truth of her non-existence and his own crumbling mental state. Symbolically, Maria's death represents the consequences of James's delusions and the fleeting nature of his desires. It serves as a reminder of the dangers of clinging to fantasies and avoiding reality, a theme that resonates with the viewers on a deeply human level. Many of us can relate to the pain of losing something or someone we've become attached to, only to realize if they were never real to begin with or they no longer exist. It's truly a reminder that sometimes the things we desperately want to be true are nothing more than illusions, and that facing reality, even when it's painful, is essential for growth and healing.
Open up!
Mary, what should I do? Are you really waiting somewhere for me? Or is this your way of taking? I'm going to find Mary. It's the only thing I have left to hope for.
Whilst James ventures on to try and find answers regarding Mary in looking for Laura, in Silent Hill 2, inside the bar, serves as a chilling reflection of James's inner turmoil. with the bloodstained writing found on the wall, represent James's subconscious thoughts and desires, revealing his profound sense of guilt and the belief that he deserves punishment for his actions. The writings convey a sense of self-condemnation and the belief that James deserves to suffer for the pain he caused Mary. The mention of going to hell suggests that James feels deserving of damnation for his perceived sins, reflecting his profound feelings of guilt and remorse. This self-punishment motif is a recurring theme throughout the game, symbolizing James' internal struggle to come to terms with his actions and find a path towards redemption. It also serves as a manifestation of James's suicidal ideation, a reflection of his desire to atone for those sins through self-sacrifice. By considering suicide, James sees it as a way to escape the guilt and pain and torment, him believing that death is the only means of absolving himself of his perceived wrongdoing. But the allure of the search of truth is his guiding compass to keep him fighting on and searching for answers in this twisted sense of reality, even though within reality, the answers are more closer to home than he realizes. In Silent Hill 2, the prison that James Sunderland encounters is not a literal penitentiary or detention facility, but rather that twisted manifestation of his own psychological state. The area is often referred to as the prison due to its oppressive atmosphere and labyrinthine layout and the presence of cells and jail-like structures. The prison is actually a part of the Historical Society building in Silent Hill, which serves as a museum dedicated to the town's dark and troubled history. It's only when James dwells further within the museum that things start to take a twisted turn, especially within reality, as the very museum that we see at the beginning seems to contort and turn into something more sinister. Even the ominous pictures of Pyramid Head in this museum serve as a symbolic representation of judgment and punishment. They foreshadow the torment and the guilt that James will face, suggesting that he is being held accountable for his past actions. So, the mysterious prison doesn't really exist. It serves as a powerful metaphor for James Sunderland's internal struggles and emotional imprisonment. Despite its absence in reality, the prison symbolizes the psychological barriers and the constraints that James faces as he encounters manifestations of this prison, a twisted reflection of his own inner turmoil. The prison's oppressive atmosphere and corridors mirror James' feelings of entrapment and the overwhelming weight of his emotions. It's a place where he is confronted with his darkest thoughts and memories, unable to escape from the haunted specters of his past. It's truly a manifestation of his self-imposed punishment and his belief that he deserves to suffer for his perceived sin. Just as the prison confines James within its walls, his guilt and remorse imprison him within his own mind, trapping him in a cycle of despair and self-destruction, trying to break down the very walls that he feels confined in, as he goes further down the rabbit hole of trying to discover the truth from within. For viewers, James' emotional imprisonment resonates on a deeply human level, reminding of us the ways in which our own emotions can hold us captive. Whenever it's guilt, shame, or regret, we all carry emotional burdens that can weigh us down and prevent us from moving forward. The prison in Silent Hill 2 serves as a powerful metaphor for these struggles, prompting viewers to reflect on their own emotional prisons and the steps they can take to break free from them, essentially breaking free from the handcuffs that you've ensnared yourself in. This will be self-reflecting too of Eddie's own stance as a character, as he himself is within inside this prison. Interestingly, in Tolika Prison, which is mostly a conception within James' mind, especially with the events that take place there and the things he sees, that originally the prison was constructed as a camp in 1862 and was used to house the American Civil War POWs. So the prison was a real place, as Tolika Prison was a normal prison around AD 66, around the time of the past life, immediately after the end of the war. It was then closed in the early 1900s for unknown reasons. The exact location of the prison was on the grounds of the modern-day Silent Hill Historical Society, as stated in the Book of Lost Memories. As James Sunderland enters the prison through tunnels extending to the museum, but the prison front doors are the same as the museum doors, old wooden doors with dirty glass, which are not suitable for a prison-like establishment. The very idea of it doesn't make sense, hence why people can confuse his prison for being nothing more than a manifestation. The prison area is deeply unsettling and claustrophobic, with haunting sounds that whisper and echo with demonic voices, and the feelings of being watched and the gathered tension that builds up all around this entire prison facility. One of the most striking features of the prison is the series of holes scattered through the area, which James must jump down to progress. These holes represent James's descent into the depths of his own psyche as he confronts the darkest corners of his mind and grapples with the inner demons. Symbolically, jumping down the holes reflects James' willingness to confront his past and the painful truths that lie buried within his subconscious. Each hole represents a new layer of his psyche, with each descent bringing him closer to the heart of his guilt and despair. When James meets Eddie in the prison area of Silent Hill 2, Eddie confesses to murdering people who he claims are making fun of him. These individuals are not explicitly identified, and it is left ambiguous whenever Eddie actually committed these acts or if they're just manifestations of his own guilt and inner turmoil. Eddie's torments of being bullied due to his appearance is a deeply troubling aspect of his character that adds layer to the psychological depth of the narrative. Throughout the game, Eddie expresses feelings of anger and resentment and isolation stemming from the bullying and ridicule he has endured. His actions, whether real or imagined, reflect the devastating impact of bullying and the profound psychological toll it can take on individuals. Eddie serves as a stark reminder of the destructive consequences that can result from allowing external pressures and bullying to dictate one's response. Throughout the game, Eddie expresses these feelings of anger, and we feel his level of isolation stemming from the relentless bullying and ridicule he has endured due to his appearance. In response to his torment, Eddie resorts to extreme measures, believing that violence is the only way to assert control and reclaim his dignity and the power from those he believed has taken it from him. So, for the viewers, Eddie's story serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of allowing external pressures to dictate our actions. It prompts reflection on the importance of maintaining control over our responses and resisting the temptation to resort to violence as a means of asserting power or seeking revenge. Additionally, Eddie's story highlights the devastating impact of bullying and the importance of fostering empathy and understanding towards those who may be struggling with their mental health or self-image. Within these evil manifestations that take place in Silent Hill really do feed on Eddie's psyche. Silent Hill really is an exploitation of the characters that are there. It feeds into their emotions, prompting emotional instability. Unfortunately, Eddie is one amongst many that couldn't overcome his demons and have the willpower to overcome his problems.
Maria?
You said you took everything, but you forgot that videotape we made. I wonder if it's still there.
How do you know about that? Aren't you Maria?
I'm not your Mary.
So, you're Maria?
I am. If you want me to be.
So James would encounter Maria again after she was seemingly dead, adding to a layer of psychological horror. This encounter is deeply unsettling for James as he grapples with the implications of seeing someone he believes to be dead. Maria's reappearance torments James. Metaphorically, the scene where James and Maria are separated by bars symbolizes the emotional barriers and psychological distance between them. Despite their physical proximity, they're unable to truly connect or understand each other, trapped behind the metaphorical bars of their own inner demons and unresolved conflicts. In this scene, it evokes a sense of profound unease and disquiet, the highlighting of the complex and often painful nature of human relationships. It prompts reflection on the ways in which emotional barriers and past traumas can inhibit our ability to truly connect with others, leaving us feeling isolated and alone even in the presence of those we care about. It also ties into James's relationship with Mary. Mary's death and the guilt James feels over her illness and his role in it serve a significant emotional barrier that prevents him from moving forward and finding peace. In reality, Maria's resemblance to Mary further complicates his James' emotional turmoil, blurring the lines between reality and illusion. His encounters with Maria serve as a haunting reminder of his inability to let go of the trauma that evidently still haunts him. Angela's reappearances within Silent Hill 2 brings to light the trauma of her past, specifically the abuse she suffered at the hands of her father and brother. This trauma has left Angela deeply scarred, fueling her suicidal tendencies and pervasive sense of despair. Her distrust towards James stems from her fear of being hurt again and her reluctance to form connections with others. In the real world, Angela's story resonates with the experience of abuse victims, highlighting the profound and long-lasting impact that trauma can have on an individual's mental and emotional well-being. Angela's struggle to trust others and her tendencies towards self-destructive behavior reflect the complex and often devastating effects of abuse on survivors, underscoring the importance of providing support and understanding to those who've experienced similar traumas. And in Angela's desperate act of killing her father and brother reflects the extreme measures she felt compelled to take in order to escape the cycle of abuse and violence that plagued her family. And Angela's mother's apparent indifference to the abuse further exacerbates her feelings of isolation and abandonment. Her mother's failure to protect her or intervene in the abuse sends a clear message that Angela's suffering is not valued or worthy of concern.
Daddy, please don't!
So, the abstract daddy boss fight in Silent Hill serves as a harrowing manifestation of Angela's inner demons and the horrors of her past. The grotesque, twisted creature represents the abusive figures in Angela's life, her father and brother merged together in a nightmarish amalgamation of violence and torment. The room where the boss fight takes place showcases disturbing imagery and symbolism, reflecting Angela's psychological damage. Silent Hill explores the horrors of abuse and the profound impact it can have on survivors. It prompts reflection on the importance of supporting and advocating for abuse victims, as well as the need for greater awareness and understanding of the complex dynamics of trauma and recovery. If you're watching this and going through something similar yourself, please don't be afraid to reach out and get help. There is people out there that care and will definitely give you the help that you deserve.
Are you okay?
You're only after one thing.
No, that's not true at all.
You don't have to lie. Go ahead and say it. Or you could just force me. Beat me up like you always did. You only care about yourself anyway. You disgusting pig.
But once again, with Angela disappearing out of the scene, James is still in the pursuit of trying to find the deeper truth, as well as rescuing Maria from the likes of her shackles in her cell. Given on Maria being a manifestation of James's mind, rarely dives deep into the actual manifestation of James's subconscious, as Maria's taunting of death reflects James' subconscious desire for punishment and his ability to let go over his guilt over Mary's death. The very mirror comparison between the two is definitely a reflection of what James remembers, seeing a lifeless body similar to that of his wife. The manifestation in itself is just a recreation of the events that he's experienced. The revelation of James's gravestone in Silent Hill is a pivotal and profoundly unsettling moment that challenges the player's understanding of the game's narrative. Encountering James's gravestone with his death date inscribed on it raises questions about the true nature of the events unfolding in Silent Hill. This revelation shocks the viewer into questioning whether James and the other characters are all dead and trapped in some form of purgatory or limbo. It prompts reflection on the themes of redemption and the afterlife as players grapple with the implications of the characters' fates. The idea that James and other characters may be lingering spirits unable to pass on until they find freedom and clarity adds a layer of existential dread to the game's atmosphere, It forces the player to confront the possibility that the horrors they are witnessing are not simply manifestations of their own minds, but rather reflections of a deeper spiritual, metaphysical reality. There are some viewers who claim that Masahiro Ito confirms James Sunderland's death in Silent Hill 2. Its essential approach to such statements critically and verify their accuracy without really direct quotes or official statements from Masahiro Ito himself. It's challenging to determine the validity of these claims. In a discussion about the game's themes and interpretations, there can be various perspectives and opinions amongst the fans and viewers. Some may interpret certain elements of the game as evidence of James's death, whilst others may interpret them differently. So in Silent Hill 2, there is 6 endings. The canonicity of these endings is ambiguous, as some of them are just downright ridiculous, such as the dog ending. The ending you see is determined by your actions in the game and how they supposedly reflect James's mentality. For the most part, that a lot of viewers and fans will argue that really there's 4 endings that are ambiguous and of course could be one definitive ending. Truth be told, it is left open for the player's interpretation. Some of these arguments and heated discussions get to the point where some people start criticizing others for what they believe, which is ridiculous. Because really that would defeat the whole entire purpose of what the director of Silent Hill intended, which was to make it ambiguous. Really leave it open for just interpretation. But with that being said, while the answer will likely never be officially confirmed, the evidence seems to point with "in the water" as the real ending. All signs point to James being suicidal throughout the game, and designer Masahiro Ito later confirmed that he created Pyramid Head with "in water" in mind. Voice actor Guy Seehee believes "in the water" to be Silent Hill's 2 canon ending, and believes it ties in with the Japanese social taboo called shinge. This translates to the double suicide and refers to spouses or family members who kill those they love, commonly known by drowning or smothering before killing themselves, according to Seehee. The person carrying out the killings then kills themselves, commonly by driving their car into the water with the bodies of their loved ones. Since the developers have stated Mary's body is in the car with James when he drives to town, the idea is James Sunderland completes his plan to commit suicide when he drove to Silent Hill. This is just a theory, however, and the answer is ultimately up to players to decide. But one can say regarding the graveyard scene is that this is perhaps James assuming that he's dead. How else could all these events that be circulating around Silent Hill be possibly true, if these things that James are seeing would seem like only something that would be from hell itself or some other spiritual dimension? This could be the justification of what James really envisions at the time, in his mind coming up with the idea that he perhaps may be dead.
Eddie? What are you doing? What does it look like? He always busted my balls. You fat, disgusting piece of shit. You make me sick. Fat ass, you're nothing but a waste of skin. You're so ugly, even your mama don't love you. Well, maybe he was right. Maybe I am nothing but a fat, disgusting piece of shit. But you know what? It doesn't matter if you're smart, dumb, ugly, pretty. It's all the same once you're dead.
It's worth pointing out, even though it's left open for interpretation, that Eddie and Laura are most definitely likely not manifestations. In the introduction video, Eddie is seen sitting beside a van, holding a large map with his finger pointed at it. We do know that Laura and Eddie traveled together to Silent Hill. This is confirmed by the Book of Lost Memories, which states that Laura and Eddie met by chance on the way to Silent Hill. This van is the same van near the start of the game at the entrance of Toluca Lake. Eddie, like James, is brought into a nightmarish vision of his own personal hell, and nearly every time we see him in the game, he is around corpses which act as symbols of his dead bullies, his demons. Eddie's story is a tragic case of those who have been bullied. Even after Eddie would leave and graduate high school, Eddie became an easy target, a victim. He would excessively get bullied by one particular football player, until Eddie eventually snapped and killed the bully's dog in retaliation. And then after that, Eddie would shoot the bully in the knee using his father's revolver. It's at that point where Eddie would flee, wandering for a while before coming to rest within Silent Hill, claiming that the town called him there. It is also ambiguous whenever or not Eddie is on the run from the police, as he claims he just ran because he was scared.
Do you know what it does to you, James? When you're hated, picked on, spit on, just Just 'cause of the way you look? After you've been laughed at your whole friggin' life? That's why I ran away after I killed the dog. Ran away like a scared little girl. Yeah, I killed that dog. It was fun. It tried to chew its own guts up. Finally died all curled up in a ball. Then he came after me. I shot him too, right in the leg. He cried more than the dog. He's gonna have a hard time playing football on what's left of that knee.
You think it's okay to kill people? You need help, Eddie.
James' level of hypocrisy stems from his own struggle with guilt and his attempts to rationalize his actions. Throughout the game, James confronts and kills various manifestations of his own, including Pyramid Head and the Abstract Daddy, in an effort to confront his inner demons and find redemptions for his past sins, which really is a reflection of James's own internal conflict and the difficulty he faces in reconciling his actions with his sense of morality. Of course, James would have no option, ultimately killing Eddie, as really it was an act of self-defense. James would naturally feel some level of remorse for killing the likes of Eddie, because he too has had his hand in murder. Of course, unfortunately, Eddie couldn't seek the help and reach out to others in order to overcome his demons, and instead would be consumed by the world that is Silent Hill.
I killed a human being. A human being. Mary. Did you really die 3 years ago?
James Sunderland navigates the eerie waters of Lake Toluca. The darkness seems to seep into his very being, enveloping him in a shroud of uncertainty and dread. The fog hangs thick and heavy, obscuring his vision and distorting reality, as if the world itself is conspiring to keep its secrets hidden. The journey across the lake feels like a descent into madness, each ripple on the water's surface echoing the tumultuous waves of James' own psyche. The boat cuts through the stillness with a haunting rhythm, the sound of the oars against the water mingling with the whispers of the lake's secrets. For James, his journey is a final pursuit, a desperate quest to uncover the truth about Mary's fate and perhaps his own sanity. With each stroke of the oars, he feels the weight of guilt pressing down upon him, a constant reminder of the sins he can never escape. As he draws closer to Lakeview Hotel, its looming silhouette pierces the fog like a specter from another world, a beacon of hope or maybe despair, depending on what awaits him within its walls. For James, it represents the culmination of his journey, the moment of reckoning where he must confront the truth, no matter how horrific it may be. The Lakeview Hotel was where James and his wife, Mary, stayed here on their vacation prior to the events of Silent Hill 2. The Lakeview Hotel, specifically room 312, is James and Mary's special place, and it serves as the final location. After James and Mary left Silent Hill, the hotel was completely burned down by a devastating fire, but appears to be restored and intact because of the spiritual powers of this town during Silent Hill 2. So this hotel is nothing more than a conjured illusion, since James expects the hotel to still be there, and he likely didn't know about this fire. For avid Silent Hill 2 lovers, the hotel holds a special place in their hearts as the culmination of James's journey, a place where truth is finally revealed, but at a cost. Its eerie atmosphere and oppressive darkness create a sense of unease and anticipation, drawing players deeper into its mystery. In James's quest in the hotel, he is looking for a tape. The tape serves to deepen the player's understanding of James and Mary's relationship, as well as shed light on the events leading up to Mary's death. It hints at the guilt and turmoil that James feels following her passing, setting the stage for his journey through Silent Hill, though some of the tape would be real footage, of course, but parts of the tape would also be parts of James's subconscious projected onto the tape itself. But within the hotel, James would come to a shocking revelation that perhaps it hasn't been 3 years since the events of Mary's death, and perhaps it's been a lot more sooner than he seems to remember. And with James meeting Laura once again would really give the unsettling truth of really what happens with the events in Silent Hill to show James's distorted, fragmented mind. Because when James reads Mary's letter to Laura, which closes with happy 8th birthday, so of course James would double check what Laura's age is, in which she replies she turned 8 last week. So Mary couldn't have died 3 years ago, because Laura's age corresponds with Mary's letter, but not James' perceived experience. If Mary wrote happy 8th birthday, then the letter was written very recently, which is impossible if Mary has been dead for 3 years. Laura is certainly a real person, because her age is what James' whole arc hinges on at this point of the revelation, and it really is what starts the process of him truly facing reality. And in fact, the true appearance and the true nature of the hotel starts to become clear, as once James gathers the truth behind the nature of Mary's death and his involvement.
Laura, how old are you?
I turned 8 last week.
So, Mary couldn't have died 3 years ago. Could she really be here?
So in Silent Hill 2, the exact circumstances surrounding Mary's death are left deliberately ambiguous, contributing to the game's themes of perception and the subjective reality. There are various interpretations and theories amongst the fans. No definitive answer is provided within the game itself. Some interpretations suggest that James may have killed Mary either intentionally or accidentally, or for the very fact that because Mary was suffering, that James offered a mercy killing to make sure that her pain and suffering would stop. Interestingly, others propose an alternative explanations to the idea that Mary was in James's trunk during the time that he arrived in Silent Hills, not 3 years but 3 days prior to the events of when she died, after he killed her. And then James had subsequently thrown her in the back of the car, not even realizing what he had done, given out of the pure fear and desperation as he tries to make his escape to Silent Hill, completely disregarding the truth at hand. Interestingly, on Twitter, Masahiro Ito on his channel actually mentions that the body of Mary is on the back seat of James's car, not in the trunk if I remember correctly. This is somewhat of an indication that the events of the ending of the Rebirth ending possibly might be the case, and that Mary was all along with James and he had just somehow lost his mind entirely. It's a very plausible theory, and naturally one that someone could believe. So really his psychosis and denial surrounding his guilt establishes itself quickly, and the town just did the rest. But some fans speculate it's a dumb idea for the very fact that she can't possibly have been in the back seat. It'd make more sense that she was in the trunk. So you can gather my point by now that many people have quite a lot of different interpretations, so please don't take it out on me or anyone in the comments section. Everyone has the right to believe what they will. I mean, remember, 2 + 2 = 5, am I right? In the eerie silence that follows the playback of the tape, James Sunderland is enveloped by a suffocating silence, broken only by the echoes of his own thoughts as the weight of the revelation settles upon him like a heavy shroud. James finds himself confronted by the truth, too horrific to bear. The fact that he is responsible for the death of his beloved wife Mary, the whispers of the tape of what once was with the beautiful love that they had in Silent Hill, which is now a distant memory, shrouded within tragedy. In this moment of silent understanding, James is haunted by the echoes of his own actions, and each memory jagged a shard of remorse tearing at the fabric of his soul. The realization is a symphony of agony, of guilt and sorrow.
She died because she was sick?
No. I killed her.
I knew it! You didn't care about her! I hate you, James! I hate you! I hate you! I hate you!
Laura, I'm sorry.
With Laura running out of the room, James sits in silence for a few more moments until he receives a radio transmission from Mary, which is essentially like a beacon that allows him to contact her from beyond the dead when she gets in contact. After watching the tape, the letter from Mary vanishes completely, leaving only an empty envelope, which once again, as the viewer, makes us question what is reality between the blurred lines. Silent Hill is really the pinnacle of what the meaning of the word ambiguous and interpretation mean. Merge them together and you're essentially giving birth to the best psychological horror game of all time.
Thank you for saving me. But I wish you hadn't. Even Mama said it. I deserved what happened.
No, Angela, that's wrong.
No, don't pity me. I'm not worth it.
It seems like Angela's fate would be like that of Eddie's. She wouldn't be able to get the closure that she really did deserve. Unlike James, who would get his, Angela would never be able to leave the town. She's trapped there until she dies. But in a weird way, this could be Angela getting her closure and escaping the power of the town once and for all, even if that means that she has to pass on. If you really think about that scene, Angela is really above James. She's ascending the stairs in what can only seemingly to be consumed by the fire. It is in a contrast to so much of James' journey up until the point where he has been descending further and further. At this point, James hasn't really fully accepted the fact of what has happened to Mary and his involvement in her death. He still clings onto the hope that she's still alive. The sad thing is that the knife symbolizes one solution, a way out for Angela, as she asks for it back, but James refuses, as partly because it's the right moral thing to do, and because of his own guilty conscience. He doesn't want to be dragged further down into the depths of despair, knowing that he could be partly responsible for Angela taking her own life. The beauty of this scene is, once again, it's left open for interpretation, because we don't necessarily know if Angela dies or lives. One can assume that she goes on to find the light and make her way out of Silent Hill and live somewhat of an ordinary life.
It's hot as hell in here.
You see it too. For me, it's always like this.
James would find Maria alive and tied down, screaming for James as she is flanked by two pyramid heads for a third time. Maria is killed, and James finally understands what Pyramid Head and Maria are. The Pyramid Heads are a part of James himself, created subconsciously to punish him for his sins. Refusing to flee from his opponents, this time he decides to turn and attack the Pyramid Heads, and finally taking on his demons head-on and facing responsibility for his sins, since atoning for them and then objectively defeating them.
I was weak. That's why I needed you. Needed someone to punish me for my sins. But that's all over now. I know the truth. Now it's time to end this.
So James turns and faces the Pyramid Heads. With James having no use for them anymore, eventually the Pyramid Heads would cease to function, and they deliberately impale themselves on spears. Now that James can put aside his judgments of his own sins, as his acceptance and atonement ultimately defeat his inner turmoil. By collecting the eggs that he needs to open the door, is a collective way of understanding that it's unlocking the doors that metaphorically point to the fact that James is freeing himself from all this sin, and his judgments to finally be set free. So, the mystery and intrigue behind Silent Hill is that the town is surrounded by a mysterious power that predates human settlement in that area. It's ambiguous whether this power is supernatural or a spiritual force, or nature of something else, but whatever it is, it drew native tribes to the area who lived at peace with the land and its strange power. Over the course of many years, multiple tragedies and atrocities including plagues, witch burnings, and the building of a penal colony, this seemingly benign power began to become distorted and corrupted. But the answer truly does lie within Silent Hill itself. It's a testimony. It's the answer to the questions we're all asking. Some residents of Silent Hill Town create a cultist group called the Order in order to resurrect their god, literally a demon, and bring paradise and redemption to humanity. To do this he had to sacrifice Alessa, the daughter of one of the most group's leaders and a blessed individual who was born with some sort of powers who gave her control over reality. When we realize and see the malevolent forces in Silent Hill, it all makes sense, as James undergoes a journey that many before him and after him would go on. For anybody who gets called to this town of Silent Hill, you'd be very lucky if you can make it out.
When will you ever stop making that mistake? Mary's dead. You killed her.
Maria? It's you. But I don't need you anymore.
What? You must be joking. But I can be yours. I'll be here for you forever. And I'll never yell at you or make you feel bad. That's what you wanted. I'm different than Mary. How can you throw me away?
I understand now. It's time to end this nightmare.
No! I won't let you. You deserve to die too, James!
The monster in relation to Mary is the representation of when Mary was ill. She had overwhelming feelings of anger, sorrow, pain, loneliness, and a deep disgust with her body due to her disease. She had felt like the predicament was unfair, as Mary had said in the letter, that when she learned that she was going to die, she just didn't want to accept it. Mary had been conflicted and confused about her true feelings, and she would express her vacillation between wanting and not wanting to die. She would also violently lash out at James, causing the resentment and the rift in the relationship. As for the manifestation, the metal lattice probably symbolizes Mary's sense of confinement, in leaving her being an invalid and bedridden. Ironically, Mary can use a tentacle to strangle James, which is hauntingly similar to how he had asphyxiated her. The monster wears some kind of tight headgear, meaning that her hair is invisible. This could be a reference to Mary's hair loss caused by her disease. Alternatively, the nun's habit-like hood may reference Mary and James' state of forced celibacy due to her illness. The monster wears a dress, which is very similar to the bubblehead nurses, possibly referencing Mary's hospitalization. The brilliance of psychological horror such as Silent Hill is that everything is demonstrated through these manifestations, all cobbled up together through past experiences and traumas alike. With James confronting the manifestation that would be Mary, he finally puts aside what's been eating him away, and all the guilt and the burden of the death of his beloved one. Of course then, it'd be up to you as the viewer to truly decide James's fate, given on what you believe to be the right ending. The Leave ending in Silent Hill 2 is beloved by many of us fans for its poignant and bittersweet conclusion, which offers a sense of closure and redemption for James. In this ending, James and Laura leave Silent Hill behind, symbolizing a fresh start and a new beginning. What resonates deeply with fans about Leave, the ending, is the theme of forgiveness. Throughout the game, James grapples with feelings of guilt and remorse over his actions, particularly his role in Mary's death. The mercy killing of Mary, driven by love and compassion, is a pivotal moment that highlights James' inner struggle and his ultimate act of selflessness. Mary's words of forgiveness and encouragement in this ending are especially poignant, as she urges James to move on and care for Laura. She offers him a path towards healing and redemption. Her forgiveness is a powerful reminder that even in the face of tragedy and suffering, there is hope for redemption and renewal. The beauty of Leave ending lies in its message of forgiveness, acceptance, and moving forward. It offers a sense of closure for both James and the player, allowing them to find solace in the possibility of a brighter future beyond the darkness of Silent Hill.
Mary?
James. Please do something for me. go on with your life.
The second ending, in contrast to the other one, is something that is quite saturated. The water ending in Silent Hill 2 is revered by fans for its tragic and emotionally resonant conclusion, which explores themes of grief and loss and the search for redemption. But in this ending, James Sunderland chooses to take his own life by drowning himself in Toluca Lake, driven by his overwhelming desire to be reunited with his deceased wife. What makes the water ending so poignant is its portrayal of James's despair and hopelessness in the face of his grief. Throughout the game, James grapples with feelings of guilt and remorse over Mary's death, unable to find solace or redemption in the wake of her passing. His decision to end his own life reflects his belief that he can only find peace and purpose in death, where he can be with Mary once more. The tragedy of the water, it lies within James' inability to find meaning or fulfillment in his existence without Mary. Despite his desperate search for answers, his journey through the nightmarish world of Silent Hill, James ultimately succumbs to the weight of his grief, choosing to embrace oblivion rather than face the future without Mary by his side. For the fans of the water ending, its beauty lies in the raw emotion and heartbreaking honesty. It offers a somber yet powerful mediation on the nature of grief and the human condition, reminding of us of the profound impact of loss and the lengths we will go to find solace in the face of tragedy. Ultimately, the water ending serves as a poignant reminder of the fragility of life and the importance of cherishing the moments we have with those we love. It's definitely an ending amongst many, and fans are divided between leave and water, but whatever the one you choose is entirely based down to how you feel.
Now I understand the real reason I came to this town. I wonder, what was I afraid of? Without you, Mary, I've got nothing.
So, the Maria ending in Silent Hill 2 is often viewed by the fans as one of the most tragic and emotionally devastating conclusions to James's journey. In this ending, James is reunited with a doppelganger of his deceased wife, Mary, named Maria, who resembles her physically but lacks her memories and personality. Despite his efforts to save her, Maria falls ill and would assumedly die just like Mary, mirroring the tragic fate of his wife. What makes Maria's ending so heartbreaking is the portrayal of James' inability to move on from his past and break free from the cycle of guilt and despair. Despite his desperate attempts to find redemption and closure, James ultimately fails to save Maria, once again confronted by cruel reality of his own mortality and the inevitability of loss. For fans, Maria ending tragedy lies in the exploration of the recurring themes of guilt and the impossibility of escaping one's own demons. This is an ending that serves as a powerful reminder of the consequences of holding on to the past.
I want you with me.
Are you sure?
Come on. Let's get out of here.
What about Mary?
It's okay. I have you. You'd better do something about that cough.
What makes the Rebirth ending so haunting is its portrayal of James's descent into desperation and despair, driven by his overwhelming grief over Mary's death. In his desperation to undo the past and atone for his perceived sins, James makes a false-thin bargain with forces beyond his comprehension, willing to risk everything for the chance to be reunited with Mary. However, the consequences of James' actions are dire. Instead of bringing Mary back to life, he inadvertently invites evil or malevolent entities into her vessel, corrupting her very essence and perpetuating the cycle of suffering and despair. The ending serves as a grim reminder of the dangers of tampering with forces beyond one's control and the destructive power of unchecked grief. Ultimately, the Rebirth ending serves as a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurks within Silent Hill and the malevolent forces. And of course, about facing our inner demons rather than seeking external solutions to our pain and suffering. It prompts a reflection on the nature of grief, guilt, and the human condition. Similarly, the idea is about facing your demons and not finding other demons to replace those habits that you had before, making more bad habits. But the one thing is for sure is that the viewers contemplate the true cost of chasing after the impossible, just as James. The dog ending in Silent Hill 2 is a playful and humorous twist on the game's typically dark and psychological themes. In this ending, rather confronting the horrors of Silent Hill, players are greeted by a surreal and comical scenario where James encounters a dog with a video camera strapped to its back. The dog, aptly named Myra, leads James on a bizarre journey through the town, encountering various absurdities along the way. What makes the dog ending so beloved by fans is its unexpected and lighthearted nature, offering a welcome break from the intense and emotionally heavy atmosphere of the game. The ending provides a refreshing dose of humor and absurdity, serving as a playful nod to the series, the penchant for unconventional storytelling and Easter eggs essentially. The UFO ending is a surreal conclusion to James's journey through the town of Silent Hill. In this ending, after completing certain requirements or finding specific items throughout the game, players are treated to a bizarre and unexpected sequence where aliens suddenly appear and they seem to abduct James. Fans of the UFO ending appreciate its absurdity and sense of humor. Ultimately, the UFO ending adds an extra layer of enjoyment for players who discover its hidden requirements, keeping them coming back for more to try and discover these different endings. With all that being said and done, all one now can do is really appreciate the haunting but yet beautiful realms of Silent Hill and all the characters and the parts they play within this immense storytelling world. There's no doubt that this game deserves to be called one of the best, if not the greats, when it comes to horrors, because it really dives outside of the box of conformities of what horror games should be. This isn't just a cheap thrill, this makes you question reality, even your own sense of morality at the same time. So I'm sure that you are aware that Resident Evil is up there as being one of the greats as well. But in terms of psychological horror, Silent Hill really is the ultimate scare factor that outweighs that even of that of Resident Evil. Whilst Resident Evil has its great somber tones of horrific backgrounds and the environment that it captivates, Silent Hill seems to do it so much better, because Silent Hill isn't demonstrated through its gameplay, it's demonstrated through its immense storytelling. I myself had to go back and play this game on the HD collection. For anybody who knows that HD collections back in the day were absolutely amazing. All you gotta do is look back at Metal Gear Solid's HD collection to realize how damn good that was. What it had to offer was so much more, aside from modernizing its graphics, making the sound and the audio sound so much better, was the very fact that it allowed us to keep the integrity of the original game, including the original voice actors like Guy Seehee, or for the more modernized take with Troy Baker. For us fans of the series, the HD collection offers a chance to relive the iconic moments of the memorable characters in Silent Hill 2 and Silent Hill 3. From the haunting music as well that plagues the streets of Silent Hill from composer Akira Yamaoka to the chilling atmosphere created by the game's meticulously crafted environments, every aspect of the HD collection is designed to immerse players in the eerie and unsettling world of Silent Hill. But naturally, everybody's going to be feeling worried by today's modern standards of gaming and how they have slipped dramatically. As we know, there's lots of remakes that are taking place, but they don't seem to keep the integrity of what makes the games great to begin with. They try to suit and pander to a more modern audience, breaking down segments of the games to make it less of a challenge, which takes away from the brilliance of these games. And many great titles within the horror game community, such as Resident Evil, have had those remakes, with some disastrous implications, because Resident Evil 3 was a bit of a disaster considering how much stuff was removed from the game. Silent Hill 2 is the first ever remake of the Silent Hill franchise. Of course, it's got a lot weighing on its shoulders, because it's arguably probably the best one out the entire franchise. The problematic situation in which we face, too, is politics within video games as such within the left side of the spectrum, which is we don't know if certain aspects of the game are going to get removed because people's feelings are going to get hurt. It seems to be a very recurring pattern in today's societies of standards is you can't talk about controversial subjects even if it's within a video game without it getting flagged. An example of this was a new Tomb Raider game. Whilst a particular component of it didn't get removed, a warning was shown on a piece of text within the game, showing the current state of modern-day gaming, and just the entertainment industry all around, where political correctness is just sweeping in like a Nazi parade, taking everything down with it. Now the problem is that Silent Hill has a lot of controversial subjects. The Silent Hill 2 remake trailer that appeared during Sony's State of Play showcase in January did not make the best possible impression. Fans on Reddit, YouTube, and Worldwide Round described it as rough, wooden, and just straight out of Silent Hill Homecoming. The CEO of Silent Hill 2 developer Blooper Team, who said in an interview that the trailer does not reflect the spirit of the game. Babino said Blooper Team is not responsible for the marketing of the game, and instead pinned the video on publisher Konami, who is entirely responsible for this. Certainly, this trailer does not reflect the spirit of the game, Babino said. It is not the spirit of either what is used to be or what we are creating now. We're trying to reflect this romantic vision of the game, which debuted 22 years ago. We think that when players see real gameplay, the real game, they will evaluate it completely differently. Associate editor Tyler Culp shared similar sentiments in his thoughts on the trailer. It was more action-focused than the fans of the series might have expected, because within the trailer, the sounds of the guns don't sound right and the characters are behaving unusually different from the original. The animation seems a bit slouchy, a bit stiff. It doesn't feel like it should do. Tyler Culp would quote, and I quote, "There's a lot more Silent Hill 2 than what you see in the trailer. However, so it may be way too early to tell where it will land for die-hard fans," he wrote. So it's mostly looking like the case is that Konami have tried to put Silent Hill out 2 for marketing purposes by releasing footage of the game in somewhat of a beta stage instead of its full, maximized performance. With this being confirmed, it gives us as the fans a little bit more hope to know that this game will be a lot better on its arrival. So this isn't the first time Blooper Team has pointed the finger at Konami for whiffing on the Silent Hill 2 front. In response to questions about the status of the game in November 2023, the studio tweeted that Konami is the publisher of the game, and communication is definitely a part of their job. Babino's more pointed comments may have ruffled some feathers, though the interview was removed from the channel earlier the next day. For now, while work on Silent Hill 2 is progressing, it still doesn't have a release date, so I, amongst a few many, have reached out to the Blooper Team for a comment on Babino's statement for an answer for what we can get for Silent Hill 2. One thing is for certain, they better not mess this one up, because a lot's riding on this great fantastic game that has certainly well left its legacy behind for those that wish to still come back to it and relive this wonderful, horrifying experience.
Could she really be here, waiting for me?
I think a lot of us are actually hoping for when the remake arrives is that they keep the original audio regarding the voice actors. This game came around on PlayStation 2, and it still holds up nicely today. There's no reason why they can't have the likes of Guy Seehee once again return, all just by buffing the audio and make it sound more appealing to home cinema systems and just general TV speakers. Of course, we know that in Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake Delta that they're doing exactly the same, keeping the voices, and they will no doubt probably upgrade them too. They need to take a lot of inspiration and learn from their mistakes, as well as being able to capitalize like they have done before from remakes that have actually done games justice. Somewhere in the gaming industry, a lot has fallen from grace. Video games don't seem to be as excellent as they once were. Remakes are becoming more prevalent, and with these remakes, they're not sticking to what makes the originals so great to begin with, or at least adding upon them. But we're yet to see what 2024 has to offer, guys. So this video has taken me quite a lot of effort to make, guys, and my microphone isn't exactly the best. So if any of you feel like leaving any kind of donation whatsoever, I'll be completely grateful. Thanks again. So I just want to thank you guys for joining us on this journey throughout this haunting world of Silent Hill 2. From its chilling atmosphere to its thought-provoking themes of guilt, grief, and redemption, this game has left an incredible mark on players for generations. As we dwell deeper into the mysteries of Silent Hill, we're reminded of the power of storytelling to challenge our perceptions of reality and explore the darkest corners of the human psyche. If you enjoyed this exploration, please don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell and stay updated on future content like this. Until next time, may your nightmares be as intriguing as they are unsettling. Stay curious and never stop questioning reality.